Hello everyone, this is Lincolnus Prime, and today we are taking a look at the Studio Series Transformers 1 Voyager Class Sentinel Prime. Now, for a figure that is based on a character that pretty much everyone hates and most definitely appeared on the flight log,
Really were a great miner.
I cannot help but praise this figure for how good it is. I genuinely hate to say it, but this is the best Transformers 1 Studio Series figure out so far. And looking closely at the figure itself, here we have Sentinel Prime from Transformers 1. Now, this is one of 3 Voyager-class figures in a wave for Studio Series. The other 2 figures are Gamer Edition Ironhide and SS-86 Scrapper. So this, in my opinion, is the best one from that wave of 3. I love the look of this figure, and something that I really do like too, and I'll get into it in a bit, is the size. Now, it is a bit small for a Voyager, but I will get into that in a bit. But just taking a close look at everything, I mean, this looks so good. And I wouldn't say one-to-one with how he looks in the movie. Of course, there are a lot of differences, mainly due to all the kibble going on, but the overall just like profile of the robot mode looks very nice. And just moving in on the head sculpt, I love what we have going on here. The blue looks very nice. Love the silver paint for the head crest and the face. I love the gold paint on the little sides of the ears and all that kind of stuff, as well as on the mouth guard, and the eyes are also a nice bright blue, which looks very nice. We do have some more gold painted detail. I do kind of wish that some of this yellow came out a little more metallic-y. It is slightly metallic, as you can see, but it kind of gets lost in some of the sculpting. It looks more like a mustard yellow than it does look metallic, so that is a little unfortunate, but it's not a huge problem. But we do have some more gold on the knees, and that's really about it when it comes to that. Most of it, of course, is just blue. We got some more kind of gunmetal gray details going on here on the arms as well as on the knees, and we do have some lighter blue paint here on the shins, which looks really good. I don't really know if we have that anywhere else, but hey, painted details are painted details. Sculpting overall, again, looks really nice. I love all of the details that we have here on the arms, especially. Not that R2 though, yeah. But everything looks very nicely sculpted, in my opinion. The color separation is nice. Not a huge fan of the yellow joints here. I think that is a bit of an eyesore. Kind of wish that it maybe could have been a little bit more streamlined, had a color that matched that a little bit more, kind of like this right here, because those joints are also gray. So, but that is not a problem. Moving on to the back, there's not too much to talk about here, but I will say I do love, again, we have more of the gunmetal silver right here for the side guns, and I love the kind of blue painted detail going on here. Only issue is that it doesn't continue onto this part, so it is kind of just sectioned off, which looks a little meh. But overall, detail and paint is minimal, but I think the color that's there is what needs to be there, and it does the job. So yeah, overall the robot mode looks very, very nice. Now, coming to Sentinel's accessories, this is where I think this figure falls a bit short. My biggest issue is that the only accessories we get are these, and all it really can do, because if you notice, the shield has these really big ugly ports, and that is so you can plug the guns into those and just kind of like line them up like so, and there you go. And that's all he comes with, is just a shield. We do not get the double-bladed sword. I don't know if that was a spoiler-related thing, or it just didn't match up with the budget, which I guess that had to have been the case. So yeah, I mean, all you can really do is just plug it onto the arm like so, and that's all you can really do with that. We don't get the sword or anything like that, and hopefully we'll get it with like a future release of another figure. If we potentially get like a Transformers 1 Alpha Trion, that would be nice, a nice inclusion. It would be little dark when you think about it, but but yeah, overall it does look really good. I just wish it had the sword, but the accessories that we have, while lackluster, is at least still a nice inclusion. Now, when it comes to Sentinel's articulation, the head is actually interesting, and it's mainly due to the transformation, but we do have full rotation all the way around like so. And That's it. We don't really have any side to side or anything like that. We do have some upward motion, but we don't really have any downward, so he does just kind of like, his head sticks up a little bit, and it's kind of annoying. But I will get into the reason for that in a bit, but that's really all the range that we have in the head. The shoulders are on ball joints, and this is actually kind of a bit of a disappointment right here, because this one right here is very loose for me. So it's not a huge problem, because like I can just fix that with like the super glue technique, but yeah, it is pretty annoying. But yeah, full rotation at the arm. Shoulder can move out about that far and in about that much. You do have, because they're on ball joints, a little bit of butterfly motion, but not too crazy. We do have a bend at the elbow, which only goes about a little less than 90 degrees actually. And we do have a swivel at the bicep. We don't have an we don't have a wrist swivel, which is disappointing. I wish that they could have included that. I kind of understand why they didn't, just because of the specific mechanism that he has, but it still really sucks. And then kind of coming here to the waist, we have a waist swivel. Legs can kick forward that much and back that much. They can also move outward all the way. We do have a swivel at the thigh, 90-degree bend at the knee, and a very, very nice ankle pivot, as well as some up and down at the foot. So articulation is decent, but I feel like for a Voyager class, it could have been a lot better. And just for a quick size comparison, here he is next to the Transformers 1 Deluxe class Optimus Prime. Now, something that I notice is that these are actually around the same head height. Sentinel's a little taller, but in terms of head height, they're actually around the same. So that the reason I like the scaling of this is because it at least lines up with Optimus Prime. And with these guys, these are actually very big deluxes, and this is a small Voyager, so they kind of like had a bit of a middle ground when it comes to the scaling for these, and I really do like that. And I also just want to bring in the Transformers 1 Studio Series Megatron, just to kind of get a feel for the size of those. But yeah, so there we go. And yeah, they have a pretty close, head height, which is nice. But yeah, I do really like that. Just to kind of at least get it, get the facts past that, they all should be around the same height. Only thing that is, of course, making Sentinel taller is just the, back cape bits, but that's not really counting that. Yeah, they are pretty much all the same head height, but they do look very nice together. I am excited to get Elita and B-127 when they come out, so that will be an awesome just display overall. Now, something that is really cool about this figure that does kind of make up for the lack of a sword is that this is technically a triple changer. So something that I did mention before, of course, about the head is that it is part of this at least second mode, I'll say. But yeah, let's get into it. So basically, all you really do is you just fold this down, and there's this little piece right here. You gotta like get it out like so, and that is the mask. You just flip that back up, and there we have the battle mask head. And all you got to do is just take the shoulders, rotate them out, rotate out the shoulder gun like so, and then you take the arms and you bring these down, and then these will form the cannons. And I really like that because that's really all it looked like in the movie. It was just his forearms just folding over themselves. So we do have that, and then you take these sections right here, open them up, flip out the shin cannons, and then just bring that around like so, and then do the same thing on the other side. Bring it around, line it up, and there we go. And then for the feet, what we're going to do here is we're going to fold these down, fold out the thrusters, fold down the foot, do the same thing on the other side, like so, and like so. And pretty much just, and then last thing is you just fold these out like that, and then bring in the shield and plug that in like so. You could also just kind of splay out the little wing bits, and there you have his powered up mode during the final battle in the movie. And this looks really cool. I'm really happy that they integrated this, and it looks very nice. It does look very nice. And it does make him a lot taller too. Just kind of, I'm gonna get him standing there if I can try. Just to kind of bring in TF1 Prime. Yeah, that gives him a lot more height, just because he's practically standing on his tippy toes, of course. But, you know, yeah, so that is awesome. I love the way that this looks. And, yeah, so definitely, I don't know if I'll display him like this, but it's kind of like the only way I would feel like displaying him, considering that we don't, again, get the sword. But overall, love the way that that is. Now, with all of that out of the way, let us move on to the transformation. And here we have Sentinel Prime in his jet mode, and this looks pretty cool. It's not the most amazing thing, but it's still pretty decent looking. I like how sleek it looks. I love all of the, I mean, there's kind of like minimal detailing here, but there's still detail. But I do love all the panel lighting that we have going on here. Again, yeah, this does not look the best with how just this blue cuts off. Like, I feel like they should have continued it on these parts right here, going into more of the metallic blue, but they did not do that. So that is a little bit disappointing. The gray here on the back is a bit of an eyesore, but eh. And that's really about it. The lack of color, I think, is just like the thing that doesn't really make this pop for me. I mean, we do have some more gold paint here for the cockpit and some more, you know, just gunmetal gray, but that's really about it. So there's not really much to talk about here when it comes to paint. I don't think it really needs all that much, but still, it just, there's something about it that just does not feel appealing to the eye. At least for me. But one thing that is cool is you can at least flip up the shoulder bits and fold out the little cannons, and you can still utilize these in the jet mode, which is actually pretty cool. So he's got, you know, more firepower going on here, which is actually pretty cool. So that is something that is pretty neat. Just folding those back in, and also the shield does store. There's a little tab right here, a little slot right here, and you just pop that over, and there you go. That does add a little bit more to this, but it doesn't really. Yeah, I'm not a fan of just how that looks color wise. But you know, nothing much going on at the bottom. It's just kind of him folded over. But overall, you know, while the jet is not the best, I do think this does shine a lot more in robot mode. And overall, my final comments on this figure is I have to say I highly recommend picking this up. I think that it is a very solid figure. I think, you know, it's not perfect. There are some issues. He does lack accessories, he does lack paint in a few areas, but the transformation, the feel of the figure, the articulation and everything, how it functions, just feels nice, and I feel like you'd be missing out if you didn't pick this up. Retail is about $34.99, and you can find him at Walmart, hopefully, because they do come in just packs of 3 figures, but there's only 1 Sentinel per each. So just make sure, if you can find, if you can't find any of the Voyagers, make sure to just check any of the shipper boxes that may be outside the toy aisle for anything that might relate to the new Voyagers. So I do recommend that, but if you can find him, definitely pick him up. I do think he is worth it. But anyways, guys, that is about it for this review. I hope you all enjoyed. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.